problem with it now. I mean, I'll probably still be embarrassed if somebody was like, oh, you wrote that. But I feel like that's kind of true for any author. Like, they don't want to be... Like, I hate it when people, like, read my stuff out loud. Like, I'm giving them to edit, and they're, like, reading it out loud. Like, I understand how that's beneficial, but, like, don't read it in my, like, where I'm here. Like, but... I mean, it's cool, and I'm glad they enjoy it, but I don't need that hype. Like, unless I, like, actually publish a book and I, like, have put forward my best work. Well, I've had... you have the potential to be your best work, but you publish by chapter, so it's not always.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, like, what I've found in the past, like, 2 years of writing again, is there is that, like, pressure that you feel, like, for your readers. Like, they're not trying to, but, like, you're like, oh, they want you to update, and you're like, well, we've got to crank something out.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, it's not always the best. Like, even rereading, like, Bleeding Hearts, which I was in love with when I wrote it, was just, like, yeah, okay, why'd I do this? Like, this could have been better. Or, like, this was a clear plot hole, like, how did I not catch it? And I mean, I don't have a problem with people knowing. It's just, like, it's fan fiction, so it's, like, kind of awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd never want to, like, meet, like, any of, like, One Direction and have them be like, oh, you have fan fiction. I'm like, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
And, it is, but, like, it's a form of art where you examine something for so long that you, like, pick up their mannerisms, their characteristics, and, like, I mean, that's what you do in, like, even, like, drawing, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just stare at someone and, like, jot it onto a paper, and I'm like, I mean, I don't have a problem with it anymore. Anymore. If you would have talked to me, like, 4 years ago, I would have been like, oh my god, no, I don't write fan fiction.
So how does, like, schoolwork affect...
Clearly, it's affecting me a lot. Like, do you mean, like, subject, like, how I would incorporate writing?
Yeah, both that and also
like,
the time,
workload? Because
you do work, and tell me more about KTSW.
I will love it.
If it affects it.
It does.
It might not.
It definitely does. Senior year, you know, I started really writing again spring semester, so it's like spring semester, senior year, like, nobody cares. And, like, the workloads had gone down, and I was like, I'm just sitting here tired, and I want to graduate. And so I would write when I was bored in class, and I think I had 2 core classes my senior year.
Oh, yeah.
I was living my best life. And then college came, and I was expecting it to be definitely, like, a significant change in writing habits kind of thing. But I found I had a good balance, and I wasn't involved in anything freshman year. Not really. I mean, I was involved with, like, friends, but, like, I can control when I want to see them.
Yeah.
But, and they the majority of my inner friend group, like, know that I write, so, like, they're kind of cool if I'm sitting there, like, hanging out while they're doing homework. I'm just writing. Spring semester last year was a little harder. I was taking 18 hours versus 16 I had taken the first semester. And so it was just a balancing act. And, like, that's when I finished Bleeding Hearts. Like, I think I finished it during spring break. But I like to plan my stories, and, like, usually, like, it helps balance it. And I just had good breaks in between my classes. Now, the summer was hard. I don't even know why I was that busy. I just didn't write. I did do a lot of editing. My internet friend, she wrote Troubled. I don't know if you read that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we, like, had full-on conversation. She's trying to publish Troubled, so she's, like, been sending me her chapters, and I'll edit them for her. And so, like, that was part of it. I was rewriting some of Bleeding Hearts. Like, that took up most of my summer rather than working on, like, the stuff that I still haven't finished on Wattpad.
Mm-hmm.
Whoops. Much to people's dismay. Whoops. I don't know what's up with this year. I'm taking 15 hours. But I work 4 hours a week in the office. I mean, I continuously do things for KTSW outside. But, like, I cover theater, so, like, I'm going to rehearsal Friday to write a review on their show. Very cool show. Plug. But, yeah, and that's, like, Tuesdays and Thursdays. are my work days, but I'm working 3 jobs at KDSW. I'm a blog content contributor, a copy editor, and then I do videography. And the videography takes up so much of my time.
Yeah.
Especially like the editing. Oh.
Yeah, it does.
I was so mad at Adobe. Oh, it deleted so much of my stuff. I was so angry.
Yeah.
I like was crying in the shower. I was like, oh my god, it was 10 hours of work.
Yeah.
God.
I never worked on something that intense, but like I understand.
I'll keep buying movie. But like, so far I've had breaks, but like I spent them doing homework. I procrastinate writing by doing homework. That's like good priorities, I guess. But I don't know. I just haven't I guess writing. Because I do write progressively through the week. I usually do like 2 articles a week, and that's just kind of killing my creative bone or whatever. And it's just really draining it. And I just haven't really. I read on Wattpad when I'm bored, but I haven't actually been writing in a while. Oops.
So how did you connect with the author of Troubled?
I read Troubled, and it was right after she'd finished it, I think. And I just like posted on her message board like, oh, this was super good. Thanks. Like the thing I liked that she did in her books was, yes, her like there is that like romantic element, and it's like total coming of age kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But she wrote, I don't want to like say sexual encounters, but it was. That's what it was. Gosh. She wrote them in such a way that were just realistic, like they were awkward.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I read it, like, yeah. Yeah.
She just wrote, I just felt a sense of realism from her that I usually don't feel in fan fiction because people are like, get super crazy.
Yeah,
I just read one and it was painful to read. I was like, gosh. But I was like, I gotta finish.
Yeah.
But, and I don't like contrived things. Hence why I probably don't like the original version of Lights. But that's like, I was just complimenting her on that, and because some people don't like it, some people are going to read fan fiction looking for that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she's a virgin, she knows how to do all these things.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't even really remember, but it came up that like, I think it was during the period that Tess and I were still writing something together. Like this was recent, this was in like last year. And then it became that we were just, like, we bounce ideas off of each other, and so, like, she got my Snapchat, I got her Snapchat, and then she was like, oh, like, I trust you as an author, can you read these things? And then I'd be like, yes, can you read these things? And it's, like, she lives in Florida, like, I've never met her in my life.
Right.
But, like, it's just that, like, it's a work relationship, I guess. But I was like, okay, sweet. And then some other girl just commented on Lights saying that she's going to Texas State, and I was like, eat 'em up.
Eat 'em up.
Kill up.
Yeah, that's how I figured it out.
I don't like being, now I'm like more comfortable with it because it is cool in some regards. I'm sure if I go up to like someone I want to date and be like, alright, fan fiction, they're going to be like, ooh. But it's cool. I'm like, it's a connect, like, it just connects people.
Do you have any like one fan who's like how close do you interact with fans?
I like to read all the comments. Like, people usually think that authors don't, but I definitely do. They're funny.
Yeah.
Like, even reading like the ones on Old Lights when they react to the main character being stupid, which I completely agree with now. I'm like, these are funny. Like, who wrote these? And like sometimes I'll respond back on comments if they are asking a question or if they're, I don't know. Sometimes I'll just respond because I think something's funny. But like that's kind of the extent. I've had people that are like, that read translations, that's an annoying thing. And I'm like, I don't even know how to keep track of that. I'm like, we're not doing it. I mean, I was going to co-write with a girl for a little bit, but then it was another historical fiction. That was a mistake. And it was a fan fiction, but it was also historical fiction. It was a whole lot of research, and I just wasn't in the mood. And so that kind of fell to the wayside, but it kind of fell away for her too, so it kind of worked out. But I mean, I have people that will, like, ask me questions, like, and this sounds so bad, but, like, with Bleeding Hearts, people will ask, like, clarification questions. Like, they're so interested, but they're like, I answered that in the story, but you just didn't perceive it that way. And I'm like, I feel bad because I feel like they're, like, not getting it, and then it frustrates me. I'm like, was it not clear? And then, oh my gosh. Oh, that happened with the prequel, and I literally wrote the longest author's note because people were pissing me off. Because it was this chapter, without trying to, like, spoil something, but it was like a high school dance chapter kind of thing, and they're best friends, and she's, like, kind of uncomfortable with the idea of being in a relationship with him. All their friends, their mutual friends, are like, oh, like, y'all would obviously be great together, like, just go date. And it's like, it's happened, like, I've seen it happen to my friends where that stuff happens, and so it becomes like a defensive mechanism where you're, like, pushing them away, and people were like, how could you do that? It's Harry Styles. Like, but it's not. I'm like, yes, I wouldn't, because he looks like that. Yeah. But you gotta, like, understand from a character's point of view, like, that's all she's ever known as a best friend. Like, she's not gonna be like, oh yeah, let's go make out in the corner. But, like, oh, that was so frustrating. And my whole author's note, the next chapter, was, like, explaining why she did things. And I was like, I shouldn't have to defend this character like that.
Do you think the culture of being able to talk so easily to the author is, like, impacting your work? And, like, do you think it betters it, or is it more just frustrating?
It's kind of both. It's kind of the same, like, social anxiety of, like, I need to update because they want one. I mean, sometimes their questions are insightful, and it gets me thinking, like, wow, I didn't, like, actually think of that. Or they just like to voice, like, their observations about the characters, and I'm like, I'm cool with that, like, that's cool. Particularly with the new version of Lights, I feel bad, I constantly ask, I'm like, are y'all liking this one? Because, yeah, it's not as nearly as successful as, like, the original, which I know that's mostly because of the time that it's been up. Mm-hmm. But, like, some people don't comment, and then, like, I take comments as, like, they like it. It's, like, a whole messed up psychology thing. And I need to be better about it, but it's just, like, reassurance that people are actually enjoying it. And so, like, yeah, it's almost like a weird sense of pressure. And it does, like, in some ways better writing, but sometimes it's like, why, God?
Do you think you would ever move to, like, writing something completely that's not posted? Or would you still...
I don't know, because at least with Bleeding Hearts, like, rewriting it, it's like, yeah, I've already gotten positive responses from this storyline, and people are, like, rooting for this publication of it. I don't know, I mean, I always do this, and it's a pattern that I know I have, is I'll start off, like, I'm gonna write this many chapters before I even start posting it so I can get ahead, and then I don't. And then I'm like, but I'm excited for them to see it.
Yeah.
That happened. I started a new one it's a Nile one. And I was like, I haven't even figured out the entire story or what's going to happen, but I know this is where the ending is, and I know where this is the beginning, so let's just get it out there. And I was like, mistake. I've rewritten that prologue like 2 times since I posted it. But, like, yeah, I like, it sounds like so sad, but I really do like that, the reply of things, like knowing that they like it or it's a good idea kind of thing, which is not going to do well in life.
Do you think the trend of, like, posting online and having a second life and, like, being able to be an author that way will continue, and, like, the kind of traditional author, like, who just posts, like, they write it completely?
I'm, like, impressed by people now that are like, I'm in college, or I have 2 jobs, and I'm also publishing this book on here, because I'm like, this takes time. Mm-hmm. And I write the chapters, like, some people's chapters are very short, and which is mildly frustrating, because, like, when I go, I'm going with, like, the concept of I'm reading a book,